Because as far as we are concerned at UniCrypt Network, this is kind of the first public appearance that we do today. So we're super happy to be here, and we're super happy that you guys are here as well. So the topic of today is going to be related to mostly DeFi and services, because that's where we operate on the market at UniCrypt Network. So it's based on our experiences that we have on different services that we may offer to projects. And we're going to share with you, the feedbacks and our thoughts related to the approach that we have as a service provider. So that's why the title is From Problems to Ecosystems, because that's how it started at UniCrypt, right? So let me just check if it works. OK. So we have an agenda of 4 parts for today, because we're together half an hour. So I'll just try to speed the part where it's only me talking, because I think you guys may have questions when it comes to DeFi problematics, and especially related to tokens and protocols. I'm going to tell you more about this part. So we're going to just start with a UniCrypt Network introduction, like who we are, where we started. So it's just a little bit more of context before going further on the different topics that we're going to talk about today. Then DeFi, well, it should be a 2, but DeFi services provider, what are the limits of DeFi services provider and the challenges? So what we encounter on the market and how we tend, or how you guys tend to solve them by doing your own research and all of that. So we're going to touch down on this. Then a very interesting topic, tokens versus protocols, because we can see, especially on this bull market, there are a lot of innovations, a lot of new protocols, new tokens. Some of them have features, some of them don't. We're going to just deep dive into why they have functions at the token level, or why do we need a protocol for certain applications, and our position as a services provider when it comes to tokens versus protocol. And then some closing thoughts as far as we are concerned, once more, because we believe in scalability, right? We believe in automation, and that's one of the nice use cases of blockchain technology, because of the automation of the technology itself. It offers like a pretty much infinite scalability. Not to mention gas fees and so on, but the way the transactions and the functions and everything works on the chain, this is like a good opportunity to leverage the tech to actually be very scalable as a company. So that's our agenda for today. And after that, we're going to dive into question answers if you have like specific topics that you want to talk about. Very open conversation. OK. Yeah. So what we offer at UniCrypt Network, so we offer a different bunch of services that have been deployed one after another, because each time we faced the different problems. And from this problem, we decided to provide a kind of a solution based on chain. So the first ever service that we brought to the market was liquidity locker. So who is familiar, like just with raised hands, with what is a liquidity locker? OK, who got rugged before learning what is a liquidity locker? OK, all right. So that's how it started, right? Because it was like very popular in 2020 when you had new tokens getting listed on Uniswap. Everyone was learning, and everyone was buying tokens, because it was just like a new listing, just like on a centralized exchange, but it was because it was decentralized and much faster, and everyone could access the tokens from day one. Everyone was getting into the tokens and learned about getting rug pulled. So when the liquidity is pulled out, that's what we call a rug, and that's what malicious developers or malicious bad actors do, right? So we came up with this product, but this wasn't enough. So we came with the token vesting. So token vesting, which will allow you, so you have people investing into projects, right? So there is always a pie chart that you are going to use or you're going to study, because you have 10% for marketing, 20% for a centralized exchanges listing, and so on and so forth. I mean, we're pretty much all familiar with this kind of document, like white papers. But the fact is, it wasn't available on chain. So we decided to bring it from, trust me, 10% of the tokens are for marketing, into, sure, do it on chain, right? And there is no backdoor, because the technology itself allows you to and forces you to respect what your tokenomics documents say in the first place. And then we came with a Launchpad product, because it's quite well adapted, right? You have the ICO white paper, or just like normal tokenomics pie chart, and then you want to launch your project. So you can launch your project and leverage this other feature to make sure that your plan is the plan and it's reflected on chain. And then we came with token minting, because token minting is just convenient if you're not a token developer and you want to create the token. Yeah, we have the developer here for the token minting, so that's why he's sharing. but yeah, so it's just a way to create a token within seconds. So if you have an idea about utility, you can just create your token in seconds. And then the staking farming options. So this is just allowing anyone or any token developer or project to, instead of building their own staking programs or farming programs for liquidity incentivization and so on, we just offer it as a service. And all of these services that we've just described, we don't need to talk with you. I mean, this is self-service, right? So that's why it's also a point related to scalability and automation. It's just that you can use every of these services while, for example, we're at the Avalanche Summit. Like customers, they can just continue using the platform as every day. So yeah, that's our positioning on the market, multi-chain decentralized services provider. And some few key dates, right? Because I guess it's also nice for some context. So we started this project in June 2020, so that's the beginning. It was started as a completely anonymous project, like each of us were anonymous to each other. That's how we met online on the Telegram chat. And then we worked together for approximately 9 months without doxing to each other. So that's where, so at this stage, we were just serving customers. And at some point, we realized that customers were actually, seeing added value by using our services. So we decided to say, hey, who are we? Who we are? Let's just, stop being nerds in our desk at our computers and start to create a business like to allow us to scale faster as a company, not as a services provider. So this is March 2021. And then this is today, March 2022, UniCrypt first public appearance, because even though we were doxed to each other and we knew who we were working with, we never did any kind of events or appearance in public. So today is also like a key date for us in a way that we're happy to share our expertise or knowledge related to these specific topics. Doesn't work better. Aha. So we're not alone, right? We have a few partners. Some of them are here in this room, especially on the legal aspect, because as a company, you need to comply with certain regulation, especially if you're incorporated in Europe, where the regulation can be a bit more complex than in some other countries and other parts of the world. Then we, of course, work with DEX tools from the start. So who knows about DEX tools? Here? Yeah, obviously. So this is like quite connected because it's allowing DEX tool users to leverage our services data. Then solid proof and chain sleuthing, who are like our buddies as far as auditing and security is concerned, because we're gonna talk a bit about it later. But if you're into automation and smart contracts as service, then security is one of the most important topics. So this is super important for us. And then external developing companies, because we just put them here because we love them, and because we're not working just with UniCrypt, but we have a bunch of external companies working with us, and that's just allowing us to give additional services to people and solve additional problems on the DeFi ecosystems. Okay, so a bit of statistics, and then we can move on to the challenges and limits. So on-chain stats are awesome. We can all check them. It's not that we don't trust people, right? But I would rather trust the chain than someone telling me something. So we never raised a dime. That's one interesting statistics. The pool was started with 0.05 Ethereum, which was $50 by the time it was made. Then we have approximately 20K customers on the 4 chains that we're deployed. And since today, we're actually deployed on a new chain, which is Avalanche. So 20K customers is all services combined on all chains, approximately. And the protocol profit sharing that we do, because we have a token as well on the market, and the token is not necessary, like it's not needed to have or to hold or to burn the token in most of the cases to use and to get access to the services. So we generate profit in either Ethereum, BNB, gas tokens for each chain, and then we convert it back to USDC or any other stablecoins so that we can share it with the stakers of our community. So that's the way we operate as a token ourselves. Okay, this is gonna be a running gag, I think, yeah. So challenges. Flexibility and product versioning is very important if you're into DeFi services. And the reason why is, so you have like a bunch of good things and bad things when it comes to like challenges of a services provider. So good practices and like not the best practices, I would say. Okay, so the good ones, anticipation. So you always have to anticipate the features themselves, right? So for example, if you need a liquidity lockers or if you need a token vesting service, you need to think about what the market is going to demand next, right? Because if you don't anticipate too much, then you keep versioning your own product. So you have feature one, then it's getting deprecated, or people want more, so you need to do the second one. And then you need to redo audit, battle test, everything, every single time. So whenever you provide or you want to solve a problem, you need to also anticipate what's the next need from the market. It's key as an approach. Then you have advanced forking. So a lot of actors in this space believe that when you get forked, it's not necessarily a good thing. Like you have the feeling that your tech is being copied. Like you're like, oh, they forked us, you know? But if they fork you, and that's why I put it advanced, and if they, they give an additional utility, an additional feature that you didn't think about, you're just giving people a code that is going to live, right? And it's going to be enhanced. So that's actually a good thing to be forked, because that's how you discover additional features, additional utilities, or whatever else it can be that serves an additional purpose. So it's like a good thing to be forked. Then technological watch. This is kind of tied to anticipation, but anticipation is on an existing service or on a new service that you want to build, that you need to think about all the features to avoid going from version 1 to version 7. It happened to us for some of products. But technological watch is more like what's the next service the market is going to need, right? Based on your observations. I think, for example, bridging is a nice topic, is an interesting topic when it comes to next services. Because the more we advance in crypto space, the more we have chains, layer ones, alternatives, low gas, innovation, subnets, Avalanche, Phantom, all these chains, they need to have like services provider that allow them to talk to each other. So for example, technological watch would be to anticipate the need of bridges or new types of bridges with Rust chains, wormhole, all this. That's like a key challenge, because you need to identify before the others or before there is a problem. So if you want to serve your customer well, you anticipate the future needs with technological watch. It's okay. Ooh. And then we have the bad practices. So the first one is UI deprecation. So whenever you have a service that is on the market, you oftentimes have, so you want to go for the next version or the next and the next version and so on, but you should always have the past versions available. Uniswap is a good example. So you have V2, V3, and you had V1 in the past, and all of these services are still available for people to get used, right? It's not because Uniswap brought V3 to the market that you cannot create a pair on V2, because based on your tokenomics, your protocol yourself, your utility, you may appreciate the past version of the protocol. So it's key to keep your services alive, even if you go for a newer version. That's the idea here. Centralized technology. So I think we can use an example. So we discussed about the token vesting service, right? So people are using our tech to vest their tokens, respect their tokenomics, and sometimes, they come to us and say, oh, we made a mistake, we need to unlock these tokens, we need to do this, we need to do that. That shouldn't be possible. The best is to be as trustless as possible. You can always argue that our UI or our front end is hosted on a server, yet anything that is on-chain, our take is to be as much trustless as possible. So this is like why we put this in a bad practice, because if you have too much control over, say, any service that you have in the market, you're not so decentralized or DeFi-like services provider. So that's important to take into account. Sometimes you cannot avoid it, right? But as long as you can do that. And clipping wings. So clipping wings is a very interesting topic. And the reason why I put this in this presentation is that when you provide services that are available for everyone because they're fully on-chain, then you're going to have good people using it, or people like genuine people. Maybe they have a bad idea, but at least they're genuine. And you have malicious actors. And sometimes the problem we see in DeFi application is that, and even ourselves, right, when we put a product on the market, we're like, do we really want to offer this option? Because if this option is combined with this option and this option and this option, then the guy may just take advantage of the people that are part of his community and so on. And so sometimes it's like slowing down a bit innovation for these kind of services, because you expect maybe malicious people to use it. And I think, and that's also after the experience of multiple services brought to the chains, we should not clip wings, right? If there is an enhancement that may be abused, it should still be available for people. We cannot stop or slow down innovation in the name of bad actors are going to use it, is a bit of my point here. Okay. 2 in a row, yeah. Education. Education, I think, is a common service that should be available in all DeFi companies. And when I say education, I'm not referring to only technical documentation, because that's always the first thing we think about, is that, oh yeah, so I have this service or I have this application, let's explain to people how to use it. But it's just like, it's kind of a niche, the kind of information that you're giving. It's just how to interact with my protocol or with your protocol. It's not the why. Like, it's not so neutral, is the idea here. So using is not understanding. How many people use Uniswap and do not really understand exactly what's happening in the pools? Like, what's the flow of tokens, or is good? Maybe Uniswap v2, I think it's somehow like still simple, but when you think about Uniswap v3, the NFT positions, the liquidity, the concentration of liquidity, I mean, I can continue with a lot of terms that some of them I don't even understand myself, right? So it's key to have not only technical documentation on how to use, but how to understand what's behind. Then above the belt. Above the belt is an interesting topic. It's like B2B and B2C liability. Sometimes you will have people using your services, and they're going to say to their community, if it doesn't work as expected, but it's not because of the technology, but it's, for example, because of a bad action on their side, or like a poor knowledge, or whatever, they're going to always accuse the provider. It's always the provider, right? Because if you need to blame someone, it's super easy to blame a DeFi services provider, because in the name of trustless, it's like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, you know? They're not controlling themselves, their own service, so that's their fault. That's the idea. So this is something that is really key. Whenever there is an exploit or something, it's important to educate people on what happened and how it happened, like post-mortem analysis. And even if it's not a bad event, it can be also a good event. It's like a good thing to document it, to explain to people not that it happened, but why, how, and how to prevent or anticipate the next one of the same nature. Doesn't want to come. Neutrality, supporting narrative. This is also important because whenever all of us were doing research on projects, we often use the website of the same company or the network that is taking a side already. And what I'm seeing here is that as much as possible, it's a role of all DeFi companies to try to give to people neutral information. So I think a good example or a good application of this basic phrase could be like some form of academy, right? So when you have people that are looking for your website or looking for your service, on your website you can also create a small academy like FAQ, but neutral FAQ, not documentation FAQ. This is something that is, in our opinion, missing a bit. Even ourselves, we don't have enough documentation for like people that just want to DYOR at a larger scale level, and this is key for onboarding and having people stepping ahead for actually achieving what is called decentralization. Because we're all speaking, a lot of times about decentralization, this, that, and whatsoever. But how can we achieve decentralization if the stakeholders, so all the community members of a certain project, for example, don't have the same level of knowledge, right? And of course, this is like an ideal. Nobody will have the same knowledge of a specific topic because our brains are all slightly different, right? We have standard components, and then each of us has a different like brain kind of DNA composition, isn't it? So that was my point, right? Supporting narrative and trying to give people neutral and not biased or taking aside kind of information. And yeah, of course, for that, we can use Telegram, Discord, Gitbook, Medium. I just didn't include Twitter because Twitter is sometimes, in our opinion, too used for marketing. Like you're taking a side if you're tweeting something. So that's why it's not included in here. So, oh shit. Woo! No, let's maybe move a bit faster on this one. So regulatory framework, when and if it evolves. So this is like a main challenge because, okay, I got stressed. So regulatory framework, when or if it evolves. It's not an if anymore, it's a when, right? And we believe that protocols will face major challenges, especially related to two things. Accounting is maybe second, because I think the most important moving forward is the KYC or KYD layer. Because at the moment we're all using protocols like completely anonymously, but as soon as the regulation starts to kick in, it's going to be necessary for all of us to most likely KYC to not even to trade or whatever, but more like to access services from DeFi services provider. Like as soon as the DeFi services provider is a regulated company, they need to to do accounting, to do this report, and so on. And the KYC layer is going to happen. It's not if, again, it's when. And it's going to be slow because every country has different regulation, but it's going to come, and therefore, all the protocols that we see today most likely are going to need to be upgraded. So token versus protocol. What is utility token? So let's move fast on this one. It's just like an intro for the token versus protocol. So utility token is a crypto token that serves some use case within specific ecosystems. These tokens allow users to perform some action on a certain network. So it's just like a reminder of what's a utility token. Sometimes we all forget it. And I have some examples. So Avalanche, BAT. So you have like of course, this is the shield moment. Yeah, this is UniCrypt utility token. But then you have the BAT that gives you like some specific utility related to, you get the ads and so on. Avalanche because it's powering the C chain, for example, so you use it as a gas token, which is a utility, right? And then we have this example, apecoin, that was recently launched. So who knows about apecoin? Yeah, a lot, right? It's expected because that was a very hot launch of this first half of 2022. And in the case of apecoin, doesn't help me, huh? So the utilities of this coin have been decided and communicated by the team. So we're talking about a DAO utility and a secret website. So there's a secret website with upcoming utility for apecoin. And among community reaction, you had people that said, hey, I analyzed the token contract, there isn't a DAO feature, or hey, there isn't a complete set of features at the token contract level. And I was expecting that utility, but the contract is too simple, right? And this is what we've heard in various communities after the launch of this token. And our positioning is slightly different when it comes to tokens versus protocol. Okay, so our take is that utilities should not be defined at the token contract level, and they should be handled with protocols. And the reasoning is 3 points, right? So the first one is the versioning of a token contract utility. So let's think about apecoin, right? So if apecoin developed a governance feature at the token contract level, then what if in 2 years they want to evolve? They want to change, they want to enhance the protocol of the DAO features, like allowing additional features. They cannot do it, and they cannot do it, so they have to perform a token swap, for example, which makes it a bit of a pain for the whole community, right? Like you have less flexibility if you handle everything at the token contract level. And it goes the same for gas profiling, centralized exchange, and decentralized exchange trading, because you would have people using on-chain mechanics to trade, people using off-chain, and maybe it's slightly different. For example, tax tokens. If we go outside of apecoin, you have a lot of tokens where you have a buying tax or a selling tax, but it's only applied when the transaction is on-chain, right? It's not going to happen when you trade, for example, on Binance or on any other centralized exchange. So this is creating a discrepancy, and that's why we also believe that it's important to keep it at the protocol level, right? And then compatibility, bridging, and overall decentralization, because all of these parameters that you have at token contract level, if you want to change them, you would still need to keep the ownership of a contract, you would still need to, to maybe deploy your contract behind a proxy and all of that, which makes it less decentralized, sorry. Okay. So in both scenarios, of course, security remains essential. That's our take. Battle testing, multiple audits. That's why we work, for example, with chain salting, solid proof. It's key, to have different parties working without knowing that the others are working as well on it. And to, at the end of the day, making sure that you tested every single feature of your contract. And then testnet monitoring is interesting. This one is very ignored. But if you look into the hacks that we can witness in the DeFi space, all these hacks, they're not tested in production first. First, they're tested on the testnet, right? They test the protocol, they break the protocol on the testnet, and you can monitor it. So, or sometimes you cannot, right? You cannot anticipate because it's like instant. But if you can, look after what's happening on your testnet and your features that are not deployed on mainnets with real money, it's key to do it, right? Because that's where you can anticipate the future hackers. And then, of course, test in production. This is like a quote from André Kronje that many of you probably know as well. That was quoting test in prod to invite users to research as a first step, but does it really work, or should we anticipate with all these 3 steps ahead? Okay, so scalability, and automation, DeFi services and scalability. We so if some of you in this room, for example, are interested into developing a service or researching about services provider, or they're themselves developers, we recommend to use the self-service approach because, for example, in our specific case, if I go back a bit into UniCrypt, we were 2 people in this company and we were able to serve 5K customers. So I don't know a lot of companies that are able to be such a small number and serve a lot of customers. I think another one that is a good example is Uniswap, right? Because they were serving so many thousands and thousands of pairs, and I think the company size was for a long time like 6 or 8 people. So it's kind of the same approach we're trying to take. Like we took some pages from their book, to be honest. So minimum to no manual actions, integration. So we cannot be specialists in all the areas at once. So our advice here for, again, either developers or community members is like try to get your favorite projects to integrate what's best from the others. For example, you cannot do charts and leverage trading and all the projects all at once. You need to somehow segment a bit your platform and integrate what comes from others because that's the, each company has a different expertise is the bit of the point here. And then simplicity, clear UI and documentation. This is like kind of obvious, but sometimes we get too used to our own platforms, right? So we don't realize that it's actually, for us, crypto OGs or crypto aficionados, if I may say, it's like 101 to interact with Uniswap or with Pancake or whatever, or of course Trader Joe on Avalanche. But for new users, for people that are entering this space, it's not so easy, right? So I think this is a real challenge for the next years to come is to simplify all our dApps that we currently know. Right. So for us, the presentation is done, but we're going to be here the whole week. So you guys are absolutely invited to come at our booth at the Ecodome because we're like genuinely here to share, our expertise areas, and we are also interested to know what you guys have as experiences, as services that may be missing on the market, because we may have our own areas of expertise, but we're looking into solving additional problems. So if you guys want to either discover about the current services and the roster that we offer, or if you want to maybe give us insights about what you guys are missing in the DeFi space, this week is like the perfect timing for us to actually collect the feedback from all the communities of all the projects of all chains, because we're not going to stop with the current services rosters that we have. And that's for us like a good opportunity to know more about the different needs that we may have forgotten about so far. So guys, thank you for your attention. I guess we may have 2 or 3 minutes to take a few questions. Sure. So if you guys have questions, now is the time. Oh, come on. At least. Nope. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi. Is there any fees or services to use? Yeah.
Yeah. So so each of the services that you may use, you're going to be required to pay a fee. So we have always a kind of a flat fee approach. And the flat fee approach is just to avoid, it's not even that where we get the turnover as a company, it's just to prevent people from spamming. Because when you have like services that are available and that can be just used with like low fees or no fees at all, then you're going to have people just spamming again and again and again. And at the end, it's not really helping the users or the customers of the service itself. Yeah. Okay. So we have usually flat fee and then some more specific models with a percentage of the tokens that you may lock or this or that. So it depends for each service, but yeah, the services are earn free, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is about the blockchain that you are...
you mean the different blockchains where the services are deployed? Yeah. So we started on Ethereum, native, and then we went to, first step was Binance, XDAI blockchain, which is now GNO chain. And we also now support BNB chain, Binance Smart Chain, and Matic, of course. And the latest integration, which actually took place like 4 hours ago, is Avalanche. Yeah, so we're live on Avalanche.
Thank you, great. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? All right, so I guess thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully we're gonna meet you very soon in the booth. Thanks, guys.